Rolling. All right. Doug Scott.
Yes.
How are you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm really good.
Dude,
yeah,
thank
it's
you
good
so
to be
much.
here.
Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by on our little show called the Saturday Santos Show.
Yeah, but it's not Saturday.
Don't tell the audience.
It's Friday morning.
Yeah. Oh, they'll get it on tomorrow.
Okay.
Right. So like we're trying to record these in a way where they are bucketed.
Yep.
So that way we don't have to, really kill ourselves that Saturday.
No, I completely understand. I was just
Yeah. You're just messing with me.
I am just messing with you.
All right, so intro.
Yes.
I met you on the first shoot of
in my front yard.
In your front yard. Yeah, I remember. Look at that. And it was for Done in a Weekend.
It was
Right.
the first video.
The first video. And it's basically for the audience at home. It's a series we've done for Outdoor Flicks,
Yep.
who does it for Xmark.
Yep.
And it's all about, Done in a Weekend projects.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Stuff
For
that
the
you can-
homeowners so that they can get outside more at home.
Right,
Make
right.
better use of their yard.
There you go. So, I mean, what got you into doing those kind of projects? Like, I don't know the story of how we got you to be the host.
Well, they first reached out to someone else. I don't even know that I can say his name, but they reached
Really?
out to somebody who's the guy who just did the raised beds side of things, Joe
Okay.
Lample. I just said it.
Joe Lample. Well, I remember Jeff bringing
Yeah.
him up too.
Yeah.
And
So
recommended you.
he was first approached, but he couldn't because one of his sponsors was a competitor of Xmark. So
see.
Joe was like, I can't do it, but here's a guy that might be good on camera. I think he's good on camera. I did an episode. My wife and I and my kids were in an episode of his show, Growing a Greener World. So he saw that I was on camera, but didn't know if I could host something. So
I
he
see.
gave my name and number to Jeff. And so I jumped into it,
There you go.
into this.
And
Yeah.
now it's been like, what, 4 years?
Yeah, the
Oh.
2016 was the first series. Yeah, I think they may have gone live on in 2017, but they were
17.
filmed in 2016. Yeah,
Wow. And we're 20
Yeah.
episodes in, if not a little
about
more.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. And now
it's
we're
been good.
Right? And now we're doing a spin-off.
Yeah,
Extreme.
Oh,
my
that's right.
word.
So basically, things that you can't really do yourself. You need
Right.
you need help
Yeah.
with a contractor or whatever.
Now, we did do one project the first year that was kind of like that.
Oh yes, the path one.
The pavement.
Yeah.
That was nuts,
Yeah,
dude.
I felt foolish. because I mean I felt like the complete schmo because
Why?
because first I had never done a path. Now I'm completely discrediting myself. I mean I'm a designer. I'm not an actual installer,
Well,
right?
I wanted to talk about that too. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you
Yeah.
did more on the hands-on stuff.
No.
But you're-
So we'll get to that.
Sure.
But so anyway, we had this complete crew of people over there that are actually doing all the work, and then it's time for me to come in and they're like shoo off the like real men,
Yeah.
and they're like looking at me, and they're saying, okay, now bend over and fluff this around and look at the camera and say this, and they're all just looking at me going, that gringo is a complete idiot.
That fucking gringo.
So anyway, I just felt like a fool.
Nah, man. I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
But
no, it was good.
It's interesting because now it would be an extreme.
Yes, we would have not done that as Today we would have put it in the extreme video series and
yeah.
not just the Done in a Weekend because it takes some skill that the average person doesn't have. But they could do it, but it just would take
Sure. It
them
wouldn't
forever.
take a day either, I imagine. Like that's
Probably not
that
that
would-
one. I mean, we had what 7 guys,
seven guys
and big equipment.
We were out there for over 9 hours, I want to say.
Yeah,
Making
well, that was
sure
when we were also doing 2 videos on the same day.
Oh my god.
Because we did the horseshoes and the ring toss thing at the next door neighbors.
That ring toss one was one of my favorites because I remember you trying to get that thing in
Yeah.
the shot
Yeah.
for like 20 times.
Yeah, I finally got it.
Yeah,
or did we?
You did.
Or did we?
The last time you ended up getting it on because we racked to it.
Yeah.
And
Are you sure we didn't like get my hand out and you just flicked it in?
well, I remember you did it, but in the edit, whoever was editing it edited it like you didn't do it. And I'm like, just leave it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think the shot was too long or something like that.
Yeah, it was fun.
It
It
is
was
what it
good.
is.
But yeah, that was when I was memorizing 2 scripts, and I'm not an actor, so that was
You
a
fool
lot.
me, man.
Well,
Dude,
thank
you do well in front of the camera. You
I
got a good
appreciate that.
voice.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And you
you. It's been
memorize
fun.
lines rather well.
Yep. Can't do a teleprompter. Can't chew gum and
I remember
walk
that.
at the same time.
So it's
y'all
like
brought
the
the
reading-
teleprompter the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, can you just move that thing out of the way and let me regurgitate the words I just memorized?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I think
try to make it look natural.
it's like a personal thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. I've tried with the teleprompter just with the script, or even if I'm doing some voice acting or whatever.
Yeah.
I have to memorize it and then just let it play
Yeah.
out of.
Yeah. Memorize it to the point of being comfortable to say something. And I'm
Right.
definitely, on video number 20, I'm better at memorizing and then working with what I memorize versus memorizing it. And if I get off one word, I'm screwed.
Right.
Which is what I felt like before. It's like, oh, I missed that one word and it screwed me up. So,
I gotcha.
anyway.
So whenever you were in your career, you never saw yourself doing these kinds of videos?
No.
No?
No.
Not a personality?
No. No, but I've enjoyed it,
Yeah.
but no, not at all. Because my career my career now is a very different career than it was 7 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah. Up until 7 years ago, I was in sales training and consulting.
Is that right?
Yeah. I did the whole, I went to Vanderbilt undergrad and then I worked at a bank and then I went to business school at Emory, got my MBA and did the whole consulting thing and was a partial owner of a sales and training company. And we can get really, really personal if you want to, but just at a point realized that I was not doing what I think I was created to do.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you went to business school. Mm-hmm. You went for a very more corporate.
Oh yeah. I lived the corporate world.
Yeah. I'm not really into that myself.
No,
it's tough.
Yeah, and I just found that I was dying on the proverbial vine. I just wasn't doing what I did it well, and it I made a good living for my family, but I wasn't really present for my family.
Right. Okay.
I tried to be, but because I think I wasn't really doing what I was created to do. Yeah. I was just kind of showing up.
I gotcha. So what led you down to where you are now?
Again, you get real personal. It took probably 2 years of soul searching and praying and reading books and coming to the end of myself. And,
really?
and one of the books I read was called The Call. If you want me to really kind of be truly honest about
sure,
this.
Yeah.
A book called The Call by Os Guinness. And it effectively is a book that tries to help you figure out what your call in life could be. And obviously, it kind of at the end it reverse engineers by asking a set of questions. Mm-hmm. Basically, what are you called to do? Well, if you don't know, well, that's why I'm reading the book. I don't know. So then it says, well, what are you good at? Well, I'm good at a bunch of stuff, but I don't really know. Is that learned stuff or not?
Right.
And at the end, so then you keep reading, and it essentially says, well, if you really can't discern that, what? And I'm simplifying really big time.
Sure.
What do your friends call you for advice? Because they're likely to be able to sift through what noise is about who you are and really see who you are.
Right.
And I said, well, that's easy because my buddies will call me about struggling with being a husband, struggling with being a dad, or they want to know what to do with their backyard.
Right.
And I was like, okay, what do I do with that, God? Do I, set up a counseling, couch in the backyard or whatever? And it's like, no. But that's really kind of what started me kind of thinking about working with people and working with their spaces.
I see.
Putting that together with a couple other things. When I was in corporate world, I, again, dying on the vine. And so my means of medication effectively was being outside and doing stuff in my yard.
Gotcha. More hands-on.
More hands-on stuff and just creating something and just kind of being outside with nature, outside with my family. On a good day, that's what I wanted to do. At night when I couldn't get to sleep because I was spinning and life was sucky, it's what I would make myself think about so that I could fall asleep. So it was just kind of like my way of doing things.
Wow.
And so I figured, well, if that's kind of what I do, kind of natural, that must be kind of a leaning towards what I should be doing.
Sure.
And also like when I went on trips or whatever, I would throw in my bag would be magazines about outdoor spaces and graph paper and pencils. And I'm like, well, for crying out loud, if that's not what I mean, why shouldn't I at least try to make a living at that?
Yeah.
And I would say probably the kicker was, so at the time I have two daughters. They're now 17 and 14, but at the time they were probably 3 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I would, my wife would tuck one in and I would tuck the other one at night, and then we'd cross down the hallway, and then I'd go and kiss the other one goodnight that I didn't tuck in, but I'm still kissing him goodnight. And I remember I tucked in my youngest that night, and we'd say our prayers and all this kind of stuff. And I remember walking past my wife in the dark hallway back towards my oldest room, and I remember thinking to myself, I am such a freaking hypocrite. And because here I am praying that my daughter discovers who she is uniquely and wonderfully made to be, and that she pursues that. Mm-hmm. And here I am knowing that I'm not doing what I'm uniquely, wonderfully created to be.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not doing it.
Right.
And the best way for my prayers for her to come true would be to model it for her.
Absolutely.
And so that was kind
as
of
an example,
as an example, right? And so I told you I'd get personal on this. So
that's awesome, though, man. I mean, I think that's important to hear, because like you, it's all for the past few years, it's been kind of a struggle.
Yeah.
Because I like the work I do, but at the same time, I definitely feel that yearning to, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Because I find myself doing something like this where I'm talking with people, or, benefiting and helping others benefit, or helping others in a different kind of way.
Yep.
And I get like that little spark. Yeah. So believe me, I completely understand. Yeah.
So I again, after, years of trying to reconcile what I was doing, which I couldn't, with what I wasn't doing, I, took the literal leap of faith to jump into what I felt like I was called and created to do. And and through all that process, I felt like that God had gifted me with an ability to, my personality, probably similar to yours, is one that people are themselves around. Again, you're similar. You make it easy for people to be themselves.
Oh, I appreciate that. But I get it. Yeah.
And until you're interacting with someone who is themselves, it's difficult for anybody. It's difficult to get to know them, because you're not getting to know them, right? And so I felt like that was kind of a gifting of mine, and also having an ability to see the potential in spaces. So effectively being able to see the potential of people and the potential of spaces, and combining those two things. Right. I'm not a plant guy. For me, plants are like a table or a chair or wallpaper, whatever. They're components that help create a space, but it's the space and what's going to happen in the space that I kind of get.
Got you.
And then spending time with people being themselves allows me to connect the dots with what their spaces should be. Wow. Better than, maybe more insightfully than they can themselves, because that's just not the way that they're wired. Right. So that's how I started Redeem Your Ground. That's
amazing. So Redeem Your Ground, right? It's a website.
It's a website, and it's also I guess 7 or whatever years ago, again, the whole God thing. I felt like God said, you've redeemed the ground that I've given you. I want you to help other people redeem their ground. Gotcha. And I was like, okay, well, there's the name of my company.
There you go.
So I bought the URL and just did the first website. I actually just launched the new rebranded website.
Oh, bro.
Check
that out in the description below.
RedeemYourGround.com.
I love that.
And I went to Emory, kind of their night school, their certificate program for landscape design. Okay. And so again, I had been doing it for friends and family. I've been doing design work for friends and family, really kind of in that time of processing what should I do to just kind of affirm in some way. Well, is this something that I do that comes just kind of naturally, and I confirmed that it did. But I felt like I still needed to kind of know the language.
Got you.
More or less.
Well, sure.
And also give me a little bit of credibility for people that don't know me. If they look at my website and they see Emory Landscape Design. Right. they may assume that it's a degree, but it's not. It was a 6-month course.
Sure.
But it still certainly gave me the right language and kind of the process.
A good foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was introduced to like installers because I really didn't. I want to, again, I feel like I'm uniquely gifted to work with people and discover what it is they need or should have in their backyard. Mm-hmm. That's my unique aspect that I bring to the table.
Gotcha.
So I partner with people to actually install it.
I gotcha. Okay, so you basically set up the design.
I did the design, the conceptual design, all the way to detailed design. Because I'm on the front end, and it's a bit unique. My clients really kind of run the spectrum to like really, really, really high end,
gotcha.
To DIYers.
Really?
Yeah.
So that broad.
Yeah, it's really that broad.
Wow. That's
because
awesome.
I mean, a lot of it is just, again, giving them license just to go outside and do something. If you screw up, who cares?
Right.
You're outside already. You
it's
learn
your
something.
place.
It's your place, right?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, was that I imagine it was pretty difficult the way you're speaking, that transition
from corporate America into this
straight into that. Yeah.
Getting
it off the ground.
Yeah, it was really challenging. I mean, it still is. I mean, it just, I mean, in corporate America, which it sounds like you've always kind of been more of a freelancer, kind of not lived in corporate America as much.
Right. Only briefly in the beginning, but after I had a taste, I was like, this is definitely not my scene.
Yeah. So I lived a lot of life in corporate America after business school, and there's a lot of wonderful things about it.
Sure.
But what you miss the most is the comfort that comes with a salary.
In being in corporate
America,
Absolutely.
And all the benefits that come with it.
Sure. Not having to worry about the.
And we had become accustomed to a certain, lifestyle.
Sure.
We're probably living on a third of what we were living on 8 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel like I have a choice. At the end of the day, I have incredible relationships with my wife and my girls, and I've been available to them. And
that you can't put a price on that, bro.
No, come on. Not at all. I mean, and we're still privileged. We're still blessed beyond what we deserve. So,
Absolutely.
Would I love to know that we could go to X, Y, and Z or have X, Y, and Z? Yeah, that would be really, really, nice. But at the end of the day, I have incredible relationships with my daughters, and
a more freed up time schedule. Can see them and everything.
Yeah. So I mean, So at the same time, and the other part of this that I can't go without missing, without stating is, it couldn't have happened without my wife, that just, being completely supportive of this. I mean, not like she's put her head in the sand and not been engaged. I mean, she's part of the website and really truly is kind of part of she brings the whole point about being intentional as a family to the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of the let's have fun in the moment kind of thing.
Got you.
She's the let's plan to be intentional about things. So together, what I have to remind her sometimes is while we're in one of her planned events, you need to be enjoying yourself.
Right. Living in the moment.
Living in the moment.
Yeah, here and now.
But what she does is she gets me out of, my just whatever's happening and, spur of the moment kind of thing. So it's a good yin and the yang. But she's just been, incredibly supportive and really hasn't questioned. She has a strong faith in me, and we share a similar faith, knowing that God's in control. And so
that's the other thing too. I didn't realize you were such a religious man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I have a strong faith.
That's really cool, man.
You talk to people about religion, non-religion. I would not consider myself religious, but I understand the point that you're making. Religious is just it's so structured, and it almost like the word itself saps life out of rigidity. I mean, right?
Sure.
And that would not describe. I have a strong faith.
Sure.
Which is what brought me through this, which is why your viewers may like, who's this weirdo on
who's this amazing guy?
No, well, whatever. But yeah, so the faith has been a huge part of it. I mean, it would not have. I would not still be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for the belief that God has called me to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Sure.
Because there's been a lot of nights like, God, why am I here? Well, I've done what you told me to, at 2 a.m. with the raining.
Right.
Honestly, like there have been those scenes.
Out in the window.
Outside in the rain, looking up.
Alita's calling for you too, man.
I'm okay, Alita. So yeah. I mean, religious, you can use that term, but I mean, we have a strong faith, and it directs us.
I think that's important.
But in a life-giving way, which is why sometimes the word religion, to a lot of people, hear religion and they put you in a box right away.
Sure.
And my life is not in a box.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, my life is not in a box.
Way more free form. No, I understand, and I completely agree. I don't know where I stand when in terms of my own faith, but I was raised. I
know, like your dad was a pastor or something. Yeah.
All my life.
Yeah.
Him and my mom were kind of doing that thing the whole time, and like me personally, I ended up waning off. Not because of them or because of what my dad was saying, because every time he did a sermon, it was always love each other.
Yeah.
And let God love you.
Right.
And be open and understanding. That was the root of all of his sermons.
Which is a good root of all sermons.
Right. But you know how it is here in the South, talking about giving religion a stigma.
Yep.
It has that stigma, right?
Yep. So it certainly does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's why, even though my faith has been a big part of what started Redeem Your Ground and is what kept Redeem Your Ground going. And again, I don't know if I clarified. Yes, we have our design side of the business, but we also have the blog. Right. This landscape. Well, the blog is all about people that I'm not doing landscape design work with, kind of giving them the license and some of the know-how and the inspiration to go and do stuff wherever they live in the world.
Yeah.
But because I believe that religion and faith and all that kind of stuff often kind of turns people off. Mm-hmm. Well, now I guess I'm public about it, but it's not. I don't promote that. I mean, it will. If you're looking for it, it's there, and if you're not looking for it, you're not going to be turned off by it.
You mean in your blog?
In my blog, or I mean, it's not like I'll quote a scripture and this is why blah blah blah. I mean, I've never done that because I mean my belief is the truth is the truth is the truth.
Sure.
And they'll find it.
Yeah. It's there. Yeah. No, I'm the same way, man. I mean, again, I'm not too sure where I stand faith-wise anyway.
Yeah.
But I commend you for being so open and for having that being such a root part of your life.
Yeah.
Because regardless of whether it is, in my mind, regardless of whether it is God or anything else, having something to lean on is pretty important. And
it's
to your point,
incredibly important.
It can help change your whole life.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. And again, kind of to the our ability to just have the conversation a lot of times because of stigma, because of whatever. If you or I box myself into this, you or I probably will never have a meaningful conversation.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so another reason why it's like, no, this is my truth. And I'm not saying, everybody's truth is truth. I kind of in this kind of relative way, I believe there is a truth.
Sure.
I believe there's a truth.
Sure.
But I'm not going to force it on anybody. And I hope that how I live my life is attractive, and you might want to know why.
Absolutely. No, I like that.
I mean, does that make sense?
Absolutely, because instead of being outward and vocal about it as much as one would think someone that has that much faith, you live it.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty important distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So, I mean, it's central. I mean, I believe that if I get people outside connecting with nature and two of their the two biggest blessings is creation and the people that are in your life. My job's over.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they'll discover the truth in that and wonder about the truth in that.
Wow.
And regardless of if you have a faith or not,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a faith that might ascribe it to God, your faith is growing.
Right, right.
If you don't have a faith, you're still bumping into the same truths that I am.
Sure, sure.
And you might pause and think and go, where's all this coming from?
Right, right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome thing to ponder wherever you are on the spectrum.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I believe that life comes from those kinds of ponderings.
Right, right. It's good.
And not to mention, I mean, in today's world, there isn't enough like true connecting happening, right?
True.
And so getting outside and putting all devices, ironically, we're sitting here talking about on a podcast, which
Right,
requires
right.
a device, but
Right.
getting outside and connecting in real ways with people. I mean, that's where I think real life happens.
I agree. I agree.
And that's really kind of, at the end of the day, what I hope happens in either my interacting with people as their outdoor space designer or people interacting with a blog post that I put up.
Wow.
Get them outside. Give them license.
That's beautiful, man. And
Thank
I appreciate you bringing it up in that sense, because that's one reason I wanted to do this podcast, not just with you, but with everyone.
Yeah.
Because I think, and to your point, conversation is everything.
Yeah.
Having a meaningful one and
Yeah.
being open.
Yeah.
And being able to listen to,
Different opinions.
Different opinions. Being okay that people have different opinions.
Well, I hope so. But if everybody thought and looked like me, what a freaking boring world would it be?
I know it, but that's what people are doing now, man. Like, especially online with with Facebook or Twitter.
No, I agree.
They just create their own bubbles. And
They do, but I mean, and the irony is they create these own, and now we're getting off on stuff that I know nothing about. But I guess I'm observing it. But I seem like they're creating these big bubbles that's just talking about the need for openness,
Yeah.
and the way in which they're talking and the way in which they're presenting their side is, in my mind, creating a scenario where it's going to be very difficult for me to hear your point of view.
Sure, or sympathize.
Or sympathize. I mean, it just, so
Yeah.
I've just had to snooze some friends.
Sure. Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people that are like on my side.
Right, right.
I didn't come here to listen to you.
Right.
Who, by the way, I don't think you have much credibility to talk about that.
Sure,
But
sure.
you seem to know. Think you do.
Yeah, yeah.
Snooze.
Mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to do the same thing too, man. Last week I was in a conversation with a friend of mine who I've known for years, and he's transitioning, and from male to female. And I have my own thoughts about the whole thing, but just to be able to have a conversation was very difficult. They had a belief, that one celebrity said something, and in my mind, it was just an opinion, what they said. And this person wanted the celebrity to be canceled, shamed, and kind of put into this box where they never speak out again. And that doesn't help anyone,
It helps no one.
No
I mean,
one.
and the irony is, I feel like the irony in all this, and here I'm a 52-year-old white guy.
You're
so
52? No, get
I
out
am.
of town,
I'm
bro.
Yeah, I'm 52.
Not a year
guy.
over 40. Get out of here.
Yeah. So I am kind of in the crosshairs of and I've talked about my faith. So I am really kind of
And you're white.
oh yeah.
Oh, bro.
52-year-old
Check,
white
check.
guy that has a faith.
Right.
So who am I to talk about this? But I don't know where I was going with that. But essentially, it's all these. Oh, no. The way in which they're talking about it, well, if this person is this, therefore this has to happen. And in my mind, I'm like, isn't that effectively what has happened by guys supposedly like me for years and years and years, saying this person is this, therefore that. And that's I believe that to be wrong. Right?
Same.
Right?
Same.
Well, isn't that what this person is just saying?
Yeah.
Because this guy said this or thinks this, therefore that.
This, yeah. Because you are in this category. Well, obviously this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just, I agree with you that it was wrong that guys like me did that back then
Right.
to a bunch of people.
Right.
Horrible. awful.
Yeah.
Right?
No question.
But aren't you doing the same thing
Right. Now,
now
in a modern time.
in a modern time, but kind of because you are that population, one of the population. Now, shoot, now I'm getting way
You
away
are
of
good,
what I should
bro.
be talking
You
about.
are good. No
Because I know
worries.
nothing because I am that guy. But anyway,
We're
that's
pretty
why I have a tough time because I much prefer to have like a real conversation with somebody because I think that's where ideas are generated.
Mm-hmm.
That's where understanding is created.
Sure.
It brings texture to what could be a really, really, really boring life.
Right.
All this stuff that's going on, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not anti-social media. I'm a freaking blogger.
That's right. That's
Right?
right. Yeah.
But I don't know. It just it gives me angst. So
Yeah.
I try to stay away from it a little bit.
No, you and me both, man. You and me both. I mean, honestly, the only reason I interact is, at least lately, is because of the memes.
Yeah,
Which I shared
know,
some
I
and
see.
you've
Yeah.
seen.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. And I took offense. Because I have a Ford F-150.
But dude, I love the truck.
I know.
I
kidding.
want one.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But see, it's because I know you, know your heart. I know that's hilarious. I mean, I laughed at it.
Right.
I wasn't offended by it.
Right. Yeah. I
So,
think we all need a little bit more levity.
Yeah,
And
I
that's-
agree.
and that's
Yeah,
why
more grace, more, quicker to listen and,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Share different views. I love it. And
Yeah.
to your point, the whole texturing, perfect analogy.
yeah.
Travel can do that. Have you done a lot of travel?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, I mean, haven't lately, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, I grew up a good bit, traveling really I'm going to pitching myself more into the whole of the conservative Southern white guy. I most of my travel growing up was out west to go hunting with my dad.
But that's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I would love to go.
Yeah.
Like I want to always hunt elk.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
how did you
I've
guys
gone
hunt?
elk
What'd you guys hunt?
Yeah. So my dad every year would take me from the 6th grade through college. We would go on a big trip out west somewhere. Wow. And it really kind of went all over the different states until he ended up buying some property in Colorado and then bought some property in Wyoming. So we kind of went back and forth there. But we go to Idaho and British Columbia and New Mexico and Colorado, different places, Wyoming, Montana, just, and we were hunting mule deer, elk, moose, bear,
Dude.
whatever. Actually, we never really hunted bear. We killed a bear only because the bear was coming after me.
The bear was coming after you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was probably in 11th grade. I was a very late bloomer. I mean, I was like teeny, and I was on
Okay.
top of my horse, and my dad was on top of his horse. Our guide was on top of his horse.
You were
and
on horseback.
We were on horseback. We were in British Columbia. We were in this area it's called a blowdown. So they had some like just these sheer force winds that came down, and just kind of all the trees were just down. Whoa. And so my dad, because he wasn't a scrawny guy, he was a big guy. His horse was trying to go. So he was like 100 yards behind us. I was right near with the guide, and all of a sudden on our right-hand side, we saw this grizzly bear just like sprinting through the blowdown, like it was a clean slate, like there was just grass on the ground.
Really? On top of these down trees?
Just coming at it. We knew that we thought that there was a bear in the area because we had lunch in this dried riverbank, and we saw some bear scat. So we knew that there was bear crap. And then a caribou came running down between my dad and me with one of their antlers that had been broken off. So we knew that there was a bear around. Anyway, bear got close to me. They have really poor eyesight, so they have to get close to really kind of make out what you are.
Okay.
And it came up.
My word.
And fortunately, usually horses see a bear and they freak, and mine was
Just
mine
chilling.
chilled, didn't do anything.
Whoa.
The guide got off his horse and tried to shoo him, and usually when that happens, they've seen us, they want to go away, they run.
The bear.
My dad was, his foot was up his horse was freaking out, and his foot was in the stirrup or whatever, and he ended up, getting off his horse and shooting the bear because it didn't run. The guide said, shoot it, because it was like at me.
Oh my! So it was like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like from here to the corner of your kitchen right there, or whatever.
I mean, still for
the
a
corner of
bear.
your studio.
The studio, right? The studio corner.
Yes, that's right. Over in the other booth.
That's right. That's still so
And then my
close.
dad was a physician. My dad's a retired physician, and so he did an autopsy on it. And what was the case was this bear. It was already August, late August, early September, and it should have had like 3 or 4 inches. It's in British Columbia, so it was already kind of moving into the fall, and it should have had 3 or 4 inches of blubber on it. It had none.
Oh man.
And my
Okay.
dad discovered that she had basically ovarian cancer, so she was sick.
Really?
So she was desperate.
Oh,
She would have
man.
died anyway
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she would have frozen to death.
Oh,
So
my
anyway,
word.
that's the one bear we've shot.
That's wild.
The other stuff we've shot and eaten.
Eaten.
Although the camp ate that bear meat.
Really?
We left the bear meat. If you cook it a certain way.
Uh-huh.
But there's some diseases you can get if you don't cook it the right way.
Yeah,
Bear.
yeah. I've heard about that. Like parasites can get in there. Same with not so much caribou, but I think deer now. Like with
it's
ticks.
the wasting disease.
Yeah. That's dangerous stuff.
It is.
But there's one now because of ticks. I heard that like it's prevalent everywhere. Like half of the deer population here in the South have it. And it hasn't made the jump to humans. But what it does to the deer, they're afraid CDC is if it does make the jump, it'll be
That's not a good thing.
catastrophic. Dude.
Great, just what we need in 2020.
Right. Where everyone hunts deer.
And then humans.
I know, right? Oh, Lord. So how are you guys sticking with COVID and everything? Been staying home, taking it easy?
Yeah, we've effectively self-quarantined in a way. Well, I should say not quarantine. That's too strong a word. We've self-isolated. We've definitely limited what we do, where we go.
Right.
We have a handful of families that we know kind of have approached it the same way we have. They're
Okay.
not out being crazy.
That's
That
good.
we socialize with.
Gotcha.
But still kind of most of the time it's on an outside activity. It's in the driveway. So we haven't been crazy about it. I've never washed my hands so much. I've never had
Right.
hand sanitizer in my car. I do now.
Right.
Any store we go to, we'll wear our masks.
Right.
And for me, as I explained to my wife, I believe that they probably are helpful. I don't know how helpful, but I think that they probably are.
The masks?
So why not? Yeah, the masks.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. It would block something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's so much conflicting evidence.
Sure.
But regardless of what I think, there may be an older person that's shopping next to me
Yeah.
that really is at risk. And whether my wearing a mask is actually helpful or not, it would, for me, if I were a 80-year-old person shopping, I
Right.
might be worried
Sure.
just to be outside.
Yeah.
And so if my wearing a mask, picking up my set of bananas next to her, she's made more comfortable, and that I can freaking wear a mask.
Dude, that's a respect thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the biggest difference I see between here American culture and other cultures that make it a habit of wearing masks. You know, Korea is a big one, North South Korea and Japan. Those two. Japan especially, they haven't had a plateau at all when it comes to this COVID thing. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know all the reasons, but in my mind, that culture, most people wear masks
Right.
around
Right.
flu season anyway.
Yep.
Or if one is sick, they wear it. And I think that's the idea, is that, you know, if I were to wear a mask, I'm actually protecting everyone from me.
Yeah.
And if everyone does it, to your
Yeah.
point, we're all just in our little self-contained petri dishes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Exactly. Reinfecting ourselves.
Yeah. But I wish it was more popular, because
Talking about freaking 2020. I mean, it has just been a cultural shift slammed in your face, left, right, and center.
every month.
I mean, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, when things when topics that really shouldn't be politicized have become politicized, those conversations just close down.
Yeah.
And so what my initial thought may be, my heels are already in the ground,
Right.
right?
You already have a stance.
I already have a stance, and
Yeah.
I shouldn't, because I've thought about it for like 7 seconds.
Right. Or you've heard someone else say
Or-
something
yeah,
or
yeah.
read a headline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the over politicization of things is just, and things being so super sensationalized.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. It closes down, I think, true dialogue.
Yeah.
Where people can understand things better and possibly change their perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the biggest thing of it with me is, because, I mean, I'll wear a mask. Katie wears a mask. And to your point, it's not every second of every day. It's just out there amongst more people. In the outdoors, I understand that it's not too big of a deal. Indoors, closed areas seems to be the biggest spreader.
And fortunately, most of my work, at least in the design side of things, is outside.
Outside, there you go.
Right.
Oh, so you design outside?
Well, I meet with a client outside, and then my design work is by myself in my office.
Okay.
I mean, like the drawing aspect of it. And so now when I'm doing the presenting, oftentimes we would have gone like at the dining room table and done it. And now we'll do it outside on the back patio in a shady spot just because. And there have been, I think probably 2 or 3 clients that because of either they're not feeling 100% or my not feeling 100%, we've done a Zoom. I've sent it to them.
Yeah.
And then we just look at it electronically.
Isn't that crazy, man? Zoom.
I know.
What happened to Skype?
I don't know.
They dropped the ball.
I know. Seriously.
The 6 months they need to drop the ball.
It's crazy.
And then Zoom came out of nowhere. And there's another one, isn't there?
WebEx.
WebEx. That's a business one, I think.
It is a business one. Yeah.
Zoom,
WebEx, and I'm trying to think of what the other one. I mean, the Google Hangout, but
right.
Anyway.
So has COVID impacted the business you do?
In some ways good, some ways bad. I think the good thing is that people are recognizing that home is more than just the walls that inside their house. That they've been spending a lot of time inside, wishing that their outside was more livable.
Right.
My story about extending the walls of your home outside is one that I don't have to really kind of paint much of a picture.
Right.
People are already seeing it for themselves.
Gotcha.
So in that respect, I think in the long run, I think people will be living outside more at home.
Yeah.
I think people have been. I think when it's all over, people are going to want to get the freaking away from home.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. That's
But I also think that, right now, I think people up until now, people have thought, oh, well, I need to go do something fun outside. It's almost an assumption. Well, I have to leave home to do that.
Right. I have to drive somewhere.
Right. And the reality is that, we've been so fortunate during all this time because we love our yard and we have so much that we can do outside in our yard.
You have a beautiful yard, man. Yeah, it's like double tiered. I love that.
Chickens and tree houses and
chicken
swings
house
and gardens.
And you had bees at one point? Is that still the case?
My bees left. I was not a very good a beekeeper.
Oh.
They absconded.
Is that right? They literally just got up and left?
Yes, they absconded, which is actually a technical term, which means they not only left, they took with them their honey.
How would they even do that?
Well, what I feel like I observed was, so usually when the bees came out of the hive, it was like, right? Well, during this, I didn't know what was happening. During this time of absconsion, when I would go down there, they'd go... like when somebody takes off with an aircraft carrier, sometimes they kind of go below the horizon and come back up.
Right.
It was kind of like that. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Well, then I would see these little, almost like little sacks, just outside the boxes, the beehive, and I'd just smush it. It was honey. They literally were taking their little bags of honey.
Yeah. Dude.
I've
never even heard of this.
If and when, I don't know. I doubt the apartment complex would allow, or your studio complex would allow.
You're giving it away, man.
Would allow you to have bees here. But if and when you have your own home or wherever, it is the most fascinating study.
Yeah,
just about the hive, the community itself as an organism. It's just
it's
fascinating.
Hive mind for sure. Yeah,
it's a community. It's fascinating.
Wow,
Fascinating.
I gotta get into more.
That's another whole podcast, and I'm sure your viewers would love. But
episode 2 with Doug Scott, dude,
no, it's great.
Wow.
But it was, I'm looking to have. So This is the second time a bee, one of my colonies have absconded. The first time they absconded was some that I actually bought. And then the
Okay.
lazy beekeeper that I am, I didn't do it. I just left the hive out there. Like, screw it. I have too much other stuff going on in life. 6 months later, my daughter was out by the tire swing that
Yeah.
you
We put
filmed.
up, yeah.
She was out there and she looked down at the beehive. She goes, "Daddy, there's bees coming in and out." I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm going to have honey again." And I mean, somebody else's bees that absconded took up residence in
No
mine. So I called them my
way.
gypsy bees or my vagabond bees.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that they may have been like truly Africanized, like not the killer bees, but there's this bees that they're not really native.
Okay.
Because I would get stung all the time by my store-bought Italian bees. And I didn't get, it was like a little welt or whatever.
Okay.
These Africanized bees, that I think, I don't know, they could be the same ones. I got one bite right there. In fact, I think we had to postpone
A whole
one
shoot.
one of our shoots
Yeah.
because my
It
my
welled
hand
up.
blew up like a toad frog.
Is that what that
I
was
didn't have a
from?
wrinkle on a finger.
Wow.
And it
I
was
thought it was
one
from
bee.
an accident or something. It was from a bee.
one single bee bite, whereas before I'd have like 10 bee bites and nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway, now we're talking about stuff all over the place. So
That's
I
awesome,
think
though.
I'm going to get some more Italian bees.
More Italian
that
bees.
I don't think that I was allergic to,
Wow.
because having your own honey and again, it's
You
just
can't beat
fascinating.
that, man. Yeah.
It's a way to redeem your ground.
There you go.
One of many.
What are your plans with Redeem Your Ground? Well, now that you're
Well,
more
now-
of a personality,
yes,
do you see
yeah.
yourself making more?
Yeah, I would love to continue the opportunity for it. I think I have so many, because I feel like it's a call, and because I have so much of a passion for what I'm called to do. I have dreams upon dreams upon dreams
Yeah.
as to what it could be. But right now it's, just the new relaunching of the website. You may or may not know, the past 2 years has been kind of a struggle from not my personal family, but my grow up family.
Okay.
Which has kind of derailed my ability to really kind of push Redeem Your Ground.
Okay.
Because it was almost a full-time job to take care of my dad and all the drama. It was like a Netflix show.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And so because of
that is another whole podcast.
Okay.
Like one that people might subscribe to.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. That's that's already 2
talking
more
about
episodes, Doug.
like people being drugged, lawyers, doctors, finances, things being blown up, judges, lawyers. It's just 3 years of
3
dealing.
years. Oh my
Yeah,
word.
this April, it would have been 3 years. It was 3 years.
And
So
that-
anyway, all that to say, I really wasn't able to promote Redeem Your Ground. So,
Sure.
so come this past October, when things kind of settled down, is where I kind of started. I basically had to relaunch the design and the blog side of stuff. If you look at my blog now, there's a big, the last time I did a post was in October 18, and it was a repost from October 17.
No
Which was a
way.
repost from
So redeem
redeemyourground.com.
Redeem your ground that came. All right, cool. So, and this is the revamp.
This is
site.
the revamp site.
Oh my word, dude! I love that. How did you do the website?
A buddy of mine, the guy I was talking about earlier, the other video guy,
Yeah.
Joe, he has a buddy who does web design stuff in California, and I kind of mapped out what I felt like the structure of the site should be, and he created the shell of it, all the templates that needed to be, and I pulled it together since October.
Wow.
So,
Dude, it looks good, man. I like the video playing. I'll turn your mic down, Katie. Our editor is having to take a break. Is it me? Is it
on you.
It's on me? All right. I'll stall.
okay.
See, now I have nothing to say. Isn't it when you need to say something?
Yeah.
You
Then
have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. All
So-
this video in the back, is that stuff that you guys shot?
Yeah,
or-
so we did back when I first started, we did this Redeem Your Ground video, which was really, if you go down on the first page, you can see the whole thing in its entirety. And so for the header videos on the website, I basically just took little pieces of the full blown video because I wanted movement and life, and I wanted people and faces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you go to a lot of landscape companies, all you see is like plants and there's like not a human interaction at all. And I'm like, but the whole reason why they're doing it is because they want to interact with each other and want life out there. So that's one of the reasons why I have all these it's more about the people that are interacting in the spaces. But anyway, the full length video of Redeem Your Ground was all shot in my yard. One weekend I had invited a bunch of friends over with their kids and my buddy Joe and some of his friends or other video people came and just took video of people interacting in our yard. And it effectively tells the story of what a yard the life of a yard from the beginning, from the morning till the evening. So it starts with the sun rising and my daughter picking up eggs, and it ends with several good looking couples having dinner, with tiki torches and and the sun going down and having a fire pit.
Dude. So do you guys still use that fire pit we built?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used it. It's been hot lately, so we haven't used it.
Too hot.
Yeah, but we actually did use it. My daughter, both my daughters, their camp was canceled because of COVID.
Oh no! Like during the summer.
During their summer camp. So the day that they were supposed to go to camp, I think a handful of the girls that were going to be in my older daughter's cabin came over, and so even though it was 89 degrees outside, they wanted to roast marshmallows and feel campy.
Yeah.
So we had it.
Even though it feels like it's 100.
I know.
101.
It's ridiculous,
dude. The past couple of days shooting, even underdecking when you weren't there.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, like.
Well, and you were wearing a freaking beanie and a hoodie.
A hoodie, yeah.
Like,
It's what I do, man. Like even if I work out on the treadmill or go lift weights, I've just gotten accustomed to having a sweater on.
Okay.
And helps you sweat more.
Okay.
Helps me push a little harder. Like I even did it with a mask on to see how that would feel. They make masks that restrict oxygen, so whenever you train, it helps your stamina.
You could also put a tourniquet around your neck and all limbs.
Just restrict the blood flow.
Yeah, why not?
I think that'll do it.
Yeah,
I think that'll do it.
Because that's what I look for in an item when I'm going running. It constricts your oxygen. Like, awesome, because that's what I want. I want to pass out.
I don't want to breathe that much.
Which actually I did when I was a junior in high school. I passed out while running the 220.
Really?
Like I skidded across the finish line.
What made you pass out?
I was holding my breath is that we determined.
No
I was
way.
so determined to win, I was holding my breath. But my dad freaked out. My dad was a heart surgeon, and when that happened, he had just read some article about teenagers while they're going through puberty or whatever, that they get some weird heart condition. So he had me all hooked up and did treadmill stuff, and the doctor said, your son's fine. He probably was just holding his breath because he was nervous or excited or something. Dude. But I literally, I woke up and my girlfriend and all the timekeepers were like right over me.
Oh my God. So did you finish?
No. I mean, I like skidded like within inches of the finish line, but I would have won my heat for the first time.
Oh, no.
I wasn't really fast. Oh. So it would have been nice.
I've never really
I ended up running hurdles eventually.
Okay. The only time I ever tried to jump over a hurdle, I just flipped. Just face planted, man.
Not fun.
No. And I've never really been a runner up until recently, and I'm only doing it just for health reasons.
Yeah.
Just trying to stay healthy, get healthy. And with COVID, I didn't want to go to the LA Fitness. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. We've been doing around the time, or just before I left corporate America to start Redeem Your Ground, we started. I went to one of those boot camp things where you pay $300 a month to have somebody kick your butt.
Yeah, right.
5 days a week at 5 o'clock in the morning, and because I was like 35 pounds heavier than I am now.
No way, really?
Yeah, I mean, I got married, and like within 10 years, I probably worked out maybe 3 times.
Oh,
in 10 years.
Yeah.
And we had 2 babies between then, and I had the
got
baby
that
weight.
dad bod.
Yeah, and I went to the ER because I I was out of shape and I like pulled something in my whatever. And before selfies were cool, because this was BlackBerry days. I mean, it was,
Ooh, man.
it's a while ago. So I took a picture of myself again before selfies were cool. And I sent it to a couple buddies of mine saying, I'm having a lot of fun on vacation here. And I looked at the picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, who is that pink pig?
Oh, man.
So I did this boot camp. But then after that month of paying money for someone to kick your butt, the buddy I was doing the boot camp with and another guy, we were like, well, we can probably do this on our own.
Yeah. That's
So
typically what happens. Yeah.
So since then, that was 11 years ago. Since then, we've done Monday, Wednesday, Friday boot camp. I think about it because it's all outside.
Yeah.
What we do.
Oh, okay.
And we probably have had, at times we've had 30 people join us.
Whoa.
But since COVID, we limited it to the 10 leaders.
Gotcha.
So we rotate through.
Oh, so you still do it even now?
Yeah.
What do you guys
Monday,
do?
Wednesday, Friday. It's all kind of weight, body weight kind of stuff. I mean,
Best stuff for you.
We do bands. Sometimes we'll bring some weights, but mostly body weight stuff and cardio stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
it's
can't beat
PE
that.
for adults.
Adults,
Or
right.
phys ed or whatever people, we called it PE.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same. I don't know what they call it now. I felt really bad because we were doing a shoot or something, and there was kids like still in high school. I was like, all right, we need you to sit Indian style.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And I felt so bad because that's what I was raised on.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the thing.
Yeah. No. Crisscross applesauce.
Is it really offensive?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I felt so bad.
I mean, it's not to me. It's what I grew up to, and
Yeah.
I'm certain that you were not intending to offend.
No.
I
For
know.
me, it's always a surprise what
Yeah. Yeah.
is considered offensive.
Yeah. Yeah. I was taken to town. I don't know what the right phrase is, but I was corrected when.
You were canceled.
No, yeah, I know. When it was Halloween and opened up the door and there was Darth Vader and you're an Indian princess and no, I'm not. Native American.
Native American.
Which, but
That's
I mean,
cool.
this was 7 years ago, even when it was less, But I was corrected.
Yeah.
And
Man.
and she wasn't correcting me from political reasons because she was just
She's just a kid, yeah.
And what she was wearing was a Native American outfit. She didn't know what an Indian princess was. So she truly was. It was
right?
like me saying, "Oh, you're Bozo." No, I'm not Bozo. I'm Chester the clown.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah, I
she
understand.
wasn't- I mean, she was 6.
6, right? Yeah. So the word Indian itself is what's derogatory?
Yes.
Yes. I keep saying it. I'll stop.
Yeah. But my point with this little girl was I was wrong.
I see.
It wasn't the word that she had ever had associated. She was a Native American
Princess. Yeah.
because that's what it was.
Right. Wow.
I kind of took it as if I was offending her, but the reality is she's 6. She probably just never heard of the term Indian princess.
Right. Wow. So Native American.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's Native American.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was like a bad term. I've been told like someone told me you shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
It's like what I do?
Yeah.
Crisscross applesauce.
Well, I mean, that's what my girls say. Let's sit crisscross applesauce.
Yeah. Wow. Damn, man.
Is that what you've heard? Crisscross applesauce? Yeah. What's that?
My camera's dead, so you can't even see me. But most of the time,
The camera can't see you?
no. But it's okay.
Why
They
can't
can
they
hear
see
me.
you?
I guess it died. It's just black. So I keep cutting and it's black. But you guys are perfect.
We can hear you.
Okay. That's probably way more better for me. You don't have to see me.
Well, but then we can cut to black, and people will think it's out.
There you go.
And
There
we're
you go.
done.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, man. Well, I think we've covered a lot, dude.
Yeah,
And I don't
more
want to take up more of your time. I know that it's precious, and you have a drive.
I do.
as well.
I do, but it's
dude,
okay.
Thank you so much for coming by.
No, man, this has been great. Again, as I started before cameras were rolling, I hope it's something that somebody besides your mom and my mom or
Oh, bro, get out of town.
family would enjoy watching.
Especially how it opened when you're talking about, not really being too happy with what you were doing,
Yeah.
regardless of how it sounds like successful.
Yeah.
You were,
Yeah.
but I mean, regardless of that, you needed
I
to do
was-
something more fulfilling.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing what my resume pedigree would have suggested
Yeah.
that I should be doing, and I was doing it well.
Right. That's the other thing too.
which is what made it confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I understand. I understand. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But being able to confront that and then really fight for something that you are now really happy doing.
Yeah. And I feel, I mean, again, kind of one of the last kickers of my kind of choosing it was modeling it for my daughters. I think they now know what it means to pursue, to do what it takes to understand who they are, and to pursue that versus pursue what mom or dad says or pursue what seems to be popular or whatever.
To
But
please other
pursue
people.
that. Yeah. And that excites me because I
Yeah.
think they're going to set the world on fire.
Do they are, man.
I mean, I'm maybe a little biased, but
Maybe. Are they about to graduate?
I have one that'll be a senior this year.
Dude, does
And
she
then
know
one
what she
that'll
wants
be-
to do?
She wants to go into nursing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congrats
Yep.
on that, man.
Yeah.
And thanks again for stopping by.
Yeah,
We'll-
thanks.
We'll point them on Redeem Your Ground,
Awesome.
both in the description for the show
Okay.
in YouTube, and I'll be pushing this on Facebook and stuff if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, man.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me sit and have a conversation.
Dude, you are welcome anytime. Thank you so much. And they'll love you too. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.